I've come over from Baltimore. I teach at the University of Maryland, and today is my chance to talk about some of my work over the past few years with folks at the Federation. And I think it's an exciting opportunity because there's a lot of things that are going on that are exciting in the UK, that are going on in DC, in Baltimore, where I'm from. And we're trying to share ideas and share perspectives on how we deal with the power of big tech. We know these big firms can do a lot of great things for us, but we also have learned in recent years that there can also be some trouble with what they do. I think the topic is really relevant right now because we've seen over the past year that we've entrusted a lot of power, say, to Facebook. And now that we're seeing document dumps from Parliament and from other entities showing that the behind-the-scenes machinations there, we realize that maybe they didn't earn our trust. And we've similarly seen a lot of scandals with other very large tech companies. And so the problem now is we've got to channel people's outrage into something constructive. And I think that's what this talk is all about tonight. Getting from the point of view of being mad at the tech firms to coming around to the point of deciding what can we do that's constructive to try to regulate them or to try to develop alternatives. The talk is called From Territorial to Functional Sovereignty, which I know is kind of a complex name, but the bottom line that I'm trying to get at, first of all, is that there are a lot of firms out there that are doing things, they're taking on roles that are the roles that were traditionally held by government. So you can see that, at one point, perhaps the city council would be making rules with respect to taxis or hotels. They still do that, but their rules may not matter as much as, say, the rules of Uber or Airbnb. So that's the first part of the talk, is to look at that phenomenon. The second is to say that that's a problem, right? It's not just a situation where we as consumers can make contracts with these firms and try to strike the best deal. We've got to think about the overall social consequences of that. And then the third takeaway is that we can do something about this, and we can go in two directions. One is to apply some of the older rules to these corporate behemoths, and the second is to develop alternatives to them. So I think overall, the talk is focusing on a new problem, sort of what our attitude toward it should be, and finally what we can do about it. And I think that, as we've seen, there are lots of ways we can organize society. I think the real bottom line of my talk is that we've got to think about, are there ways that we can have alternative methods of developing business, of serving customers in these different fields? And I think particularly it's a message of hope for local communities. And it's one that says it's possible to develop your own way. You don't have to just sort of follow in the path of older forms of organization. I'd say that I'm very optimistic about something called platform cooperatives. I think that these are ways of encouraging people who would ordinarily go to a firm like Uber or Airbnb or these other corporate giants to try to self-govern and to try to self-organize. So that's part of the things I'm optimistic about. And so in terms of what I'm pessimistic about, I'd say I'm very pessimistic about blockchain, because I feel that there was a lot of hope and a lot of hype about it, and I think now we're seeing some of the come down from that, and I worry that there are some investors that are going to end up getting fleeced by it.